And Amy, over to you. How do we catch up? And is there a way that we can work together in terms of Canada and the UK? You do a bit, we do a bit. What will that look like for you in the short, medium, and long term?
Yes, excellent. And I'm so pleased that you are thinking this way about collaboration. So just to take it a step back a little bit, the economic security, one of the first questions you were asking was about, why are we in this position? And if you didn't ask it specifically, I'm going to pose it. The reason that we're experiencing this gap is really that free markets essentially failed the U.S., Canada, and the UK in creating this gap. Free markets being capitalism. Creating radio access networks radio access network equipment is not very lucrative, right? So if you look back and say, why doesn't the U.S., the biggest superpower in the world, have this play? It's because its network providers, namely, Cisco was the giant over the last couple decades. They did not invest in the RAN because they were beholden to Wall Street and shareholders and quarterly reporting, and they wanted to protect their 65% margin. Now, I worked for Cisco for over a decade. I am not quoting their inside information. This is my analysis and speculation on why we don't have a play. So now, yes, we all had that gap. Canada could have saved Nortel with a $2 to $4 billion bailout, and the government chose not to. So what does this all equate to? I think, what do you do in the short term? We have to institute the sometimes less favorable word of, term of industrial policy, right? And that's because we let capital markets or free markets or capitalism decide. They decided it was not lucrative, but this economic decision, right? This economic security is now impacting our national security concerns. So I think we have to shift that mindset from, free markets into how do we help national security with some economic security policies. Now, industrial policy has not been a very attractive term, and I say maybe we should do industrial policy 2.0 in order to foster that closer government to private sector relationship that is really necessary. Where did China really succeed is really that tight coupling. The Chinese government really helped catapult Huawei to a global leader because they facilitated that growth. And when I used to speak to the US government when I lived there, I lived in the States in Silicon Valley for 15 years. I escalated the Cisco unfair trade practices to our government, and they said, we cannot play favorites. So instead of playing favorites, we need to figure out how do we foster that mass competitive advantage across a lot of vendors. So that's one approach. You also asked, what do you do to catch up in the short and medium term? And I think we take a leapfrog approach. I don't think we can create a RAN vendor at this point in time.